Okay, so welcome to H&D Abroad. We are really excited to be with all our viewers today.
I'm Herman.
And I'm Dee.
When on this channel, we help Black couples see moving abroad as a plan A in real time with healthy lifestyle and building generational wealth. So
Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We are so excited because we have 400 subscribers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are powering forward our next goal. We're powering toward our goal of 1,000 subscribers. So thank you to everyone. Hit that notification bell so that you are alerted when we go live. But we go live every Saturday.
And don't just subscribe, really watch the videos. Please give us some feedback. We want to grow from our experience with you. We are still finalizing our destination place. We're still in the US looking to go. So we want some ideas, some content, some conversation. Please have conversations with us.
Yep. So if you're joining us in the replay, put #replay. So thank you all. But who we have to thank are our guests for today, because we are talking about all the content buckets that we want to have ready. But what happens once you leave, especially those critical first few months? That's why we have
Jimmy and Rosemarie.
That's right. So we want to bring them on now.
Hey, everyone.
How y'all doing?
We're good.
We're still working on getting faster at that switch. We're so happy to have you with us today. Thanks for taking the time to come and conversate with us today.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. We enjoy the channel, and yes, I did see the men's roundup last week. So
absolutely, I appreciate it. Absolutely, we're gonna drag you into one, Jimmy. We're gonna drag you into one so that you can tell us the truth, man. That's what we need.
Truth is, I left the Xbox at home. Okay.
And truth is, you never let me own one.
So, to start the conversation, I always want to make sure that we acknowledge everyone that's joining us today. So I see you locating cozy. I see you, Dr. Linda. I see you, Aging Grateful. Thank you for all of the folks that are joining. We're just shouting out a few names now. But what the stories always start with is the ladies of Exodus Summit. we are elevating each other and our journeys, and the decision to embrace ease, to give our minds, our bodies, our families, to give ourselves the best of us, and that we don't have to see ourselves from a productivity standpoint. So that a lot of our stories, as I interview a lot of the ladies, as I reach out and say, I love your content. Would you mind collaborating, on our respective channels? So, Rosemarie, your story resonated with me about your work, your healthy lifestyle, your cookbook, like the things that you are doing to care for yourself. So did you want to share kind of who convinced whom? Was this as a response to the content that you were coming in contact with Exodus Summit, or were you all already having that conversation together?
As far as moving?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we were having that conversation together. We were maybe in 2016, we started looking at places to move because of the situation in the US. So we wanted to all kind of exited that. So we started in Belize. We were looking at Belize because, we love the water. We love the ocean and the beach. So we wanted to find a nice place, reasonably priced to live. But then that kind of got overpopulated with a lot of the hotels and everything being built up there. And then we found out that it was a video we looked at. It was about Mexico travel and beautiful beaches out here, which I didn't know because I've never been to Mexico before in my life. And this is my first time here moving. So we found that it would be inexpensive to do that, and we just collaborated together, started researching more and more, and we decided on Mexico together.
And that's one of the things that's important to me is when we have these conversations with beautiful couples like yourself, is proving that we as men are not a secondary thought to women moving abroad. And I think that that's become a challenge in the conversation is, you know, and there are those of us who are really engaging the conversation because information is power.
Absolutely.
Information is power. And a lot of men who are not necessarily considering this process, it's about information, how the information is presented to us. You know, if I'm not safe here, what makes you think I'm gonna be safe somewhere else? Why would I pack up and be a target somewhere else? And couples having a conversation together make that move abroad process, I think, really important and really impactful. So in that vein, Jimmy, what was your motivation? I know you all were having a joint conversation, but what was your personal motivation? I think that's always good for people to hear.
For me personally, it was still the same situation where we were both, you know, as we were looking at stuff in 2016 and we live we came from the desert. So we came from Las Vegas. So I think I moved there in 89. I was there from 89 to 2000. And then I came back in 2011 till 2022. I grew up in the Bay Area. So being in the desert wasn't the expectation to live in the desert. Plus I lived 6 years in Phoenix. So living in the dirt all the time was not the expectation. I was fortunate because I'm a military brat. So I grew up Air Force. I grew up overseas in Japan. So I was already used to being abroad. And I think that's what makes it different in our situation is you got to have the desire to kind of escape where you're at or to change something and make it different. So was the main thing was like, okay, our money is only going so far. And we're like, you know, back then we're in our early 50s. I'm 56, she's 55 now. So it was kind of like still, you know, when you keep going to stores and you see the seniors having to work, and that's not part of the plan, especially because I have my mom who's like 76 and she travels like all over the place and she has an electric scooter. Why are we younger not experiencing a life where we can enjoy ourselves and not necessarily keep working just to pay the bills?
Right.
So that's what was the whole point was how do we get out of that and start to make our money work on our behalf somewhere else?
Okay.
Absolutely. You know, the winning part takes us to, you know, the areas that you all shared on your content. House sitting is always going to be a winner, whether you're already abroad or especially when you're trying to pace that initial landing, you know, being able to keep a few dollars back. But you guys won big with house sitting, and you shared the journey of starting that when you left. Did you want to kind of share that particular win?
Well, can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
House sitting in 2016, I don't think we even knew what that was.
No.
So when we were first looking at moving, it had nothing to do with house sitting because it was based on how can we figure out to transfer our business or our work to another country. House sitting was a total best revelation, whatever you want to call it.
Right. That was after Exodus Summit when we found Stephanie. So
yes.
So that's what really kicked
Thank
that
you,
off.
Stephanie.
Right? Yes, absolutely. So we started off house sitting in Las Vegas just to get our feet wet because we didn't want to go abroad for the first time house sit when we didn't know where we were at. So we started there, then we end up house sitting in California just to kind of build up that reviews, etc. So here we started off in Cancun, and we were doing a Airbnb for 2 weeks. And then we moved to Merida because our plan was to live in Merida, to see more people like us, to live, because we heard a lot of people who are Black live in Merida and connecting there. So we got a house sit. I was looking up on house sitters, trusted house sitters, and it was a 5-month house sit. So that was kind of a no-brainer, just to go ahead and jump on that. We interviewed with the guys, and we end up here in PV.
Yeah,
that wasn't on our radar. We just ended here because of the house sit. So that was awesome.
No, originally we did want to be in Puerto Escondido, which is on the
that's
Oaxaca
true.
coast. So
Yeah.
we wanted to be in a beach town.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're coming from the States and you're moving to Mexico, you'll find out this is just a common thing for anybody that's going to think about this move. Most of the time, you're going to find a layover that's required in Mexico City, and it's going to be like 10, 11, 12 hours. It's like crazy hours.
Mhm.
And at the time, we were like, just no. For me personally, I was planning. So I was like, I can't do 11 hours in an airport that I can't read everything because we don't speak Spanish well enough. So Cancun opened up to be semi-direct flight with just a quick 1 hour layover in Phoenix. That's why we started with Cancun.
Yeah.
So we came in to ease our way, and then in Cancun we decided maybe Merida would be a okay start, just because there's enough help that would be there.
Right.
Black folks that are there that would kind of help us on the journey.
Mhm.
And that's the only reason. But because of our timing, if it wasn't for New Year's Eve, the timing we were there, that kept us from having a realtor get in contact with us in time.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then because Rose is diligent on the computer, she
Yes.
found that house set. She found 2 house sets. One was on the beach in Chelem.
Yeah.
And the day that we got the interview with that lady, it was only for a month, and she was coming, and it was going to be for like 2 weeks after we were done with our Airbnb. She was on her way to
meet with us.
Yeah. But these guys from PV were right away desperate.
Yeah.
And they only had a few days to leave.
Yeah.
And once we got on the phone earlier in the morning before our afternoon meeting with this lady, we hit it off just like this conversation here.
Yeah. And they said, we definitely need you to house sit. We want you here. So I'm like 5 months. First of all, the house sit save on rental first, electric,
Airbnb.
gas, everything. Airbnb, we don't have to deal with any of that. And when you do a house sit, it's kind of like a exchange per se. And this house, it doesn't have any animals, because generally you'll have a dog or a cat or whatever. This one without animals, so we can go do whatever we want, and just enjoy PV freely. So that's really cool.
And the space from being in the Airbnb, so our Airbnbs in Cancun and Merida are not in the expat communities.
No,
so we don't know what it's like to live in an expat community.
I don't pick those. I pick the local,
Locals.
because first of all, it's cheaper. Okay, so I'm not paying those high fees on Airbnb, and so it's really local. We get to know the people. We go to the local fruitarias. Just be around people without all that extra. So that's what we love about it.
We don't get paved roads.
Nothing's wrong with that.
Broken sidewalks, dirt.
Right. Nothing's wrong with that. But, we have a horse across from us right now, actually 2 horses. So
And a lot of roosters and dogs, loose dogs and chickens.
So I'm jealous on many levels. I'm jealous on many levels. I'm just that setup, that opportunity is just amazing to me. And it has been our goal and plan from the beginning to really find our way in the middle of the people, in the middle of the culture, wherever we go. I was watching your video, you're going to the market to get the fruit, and I was like, okay, they in the back. They off the road. Because I mean, and that is, we spent the first part of our trip in Mexico City, because we were working on our visa. And, I'm from city. So Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami. I was born in Detroit, Chicago, so city. And I don't mind the country. We live in Alabama, we live, that was a joke. We live in Alabama.
Across the horses,
And, and I mean, there's country places. I've lived in Florida too. But when we got to Mexico City, I was like, this is city. We spent some time in Puerto Vallarta, and I was like, this is city. And I was like, I want to go a little deeper. And I was watching you all's video, and I was like, I like the comfort and the quiet. I mean, just to walk down the street. You know, we had to go to the big market. In
La Comeras.
in Mexico City or Puerto Vallarta? We went to the big market.
We were in Mexico City when we went to the market.
And I mean, it was great. I mean, I loved it, but it was a bustling, big, market.
Yeah.
You all went down the street, and there was the same fresh fruit and same vegetables, and I mean, jealous. Like I'm so excited, and what I am taking from you all's travel, from you all's experience, and Danica and I were talking about it this morning, is the flexibility that you all have allowed into your life. I always say this with all the couples. These ladies we are married to are super organized, and it's why they're connecting on the Exodus Summit. So they have this leadership process in this process that comes with this. And I don't know if it's necessarily that we're not engaged. It's just they got a mindset, they're headed, and all the couples we talk to is all the same. If we line all 20 of the couples we talk to up together, you'll get the same lady. But in the middle of all of that, you all have allowed, okay, this isn't going right. This isn't happening right. This isn't what we expected, and are flowing with that. And I can see the relax in your flow. And I am excited to watch that experience because so many people are afraid that if it doesn't go the way they want it to go, it's going to come apart. And we've heard a lot of stories about people saying, okay, it didn't happen like this. And they packed their bags and went home. They went back to the US.
Hey, everything that we started did not go right. So our house would have sold in the summer. We were supposed to be out here in September, October. But the couple backed out the day before signing. So when we came to November, December, it was like, we were like, okay, we were saying 2022 is going to be it. We cannot, because you keep planning and planning, or you keep just watching people's travels, but it doesn't become a real thing for a real experience until you get out of this, from sitting on the couch watching the screen to actually being in the process. Mm-hmm. It's a different experience. I mean, just like, again, we might have we walk 30 minutes to go to Costco, but Costco US is not, and Costco Mexico are different things. Mm-hmm. It's just the same products there, but it's just different. Like they sell motorcycles here in the stores, in the grocery store. You buy motorcycles. You ain't gonna get that in the US, but hey, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, we went to Sam's and we were like, okay, they got stuff in here I wish they had in the US, and at the same time, is that
they got something?
Is that a scooter? I mean,
yeah. But in the process, when we were leaving Las Vegas, there was, opposition is going to come. Everything's going to be scary just when you just try to plan. Mm-hmm. It's scary just if you're a hoarder, more so me. She can let go of things easy. Yes. I need this for later. I need this for later. Now,
later never comes.
To you. So you're going to end up having to kind of get over the fear of if you try to move, and not, you're not here to travel, visit, but you're here to move. You're going to have to start cutting some things off and it's going to go against every fiber of your comfort zone that happens. So we have a fluidity, but we have a fear in the sense of it. When we used to go to San Diego, I'd take her, we'd go travel, or in the States, we wouldn't go pick a place to stay before we got there. Our whole thing was to drive there and go explore and find a place when we got there. So that's how we started in the early days, years back.
When we first got married.
Because that was my style of being able to just go somewhere, move into the situation, and then find somewhere to stay.
It's like no bueno.
We tried that and wound up being in a city that was having the hotels were saying,
we have no idea.
We don't know what is in town. There's no major and had to turn around and drive back because we couldn't find anywhere to stay.
Yeah, we
that was the end of that exploration.
Yeah. That was a little, hey, let's run up the road. It was an hour and a half, and we ended up driving a whole hour and a half back. Because when I said there was nothing for miles, and it was and nobody knew what was going on. And from that time on, we've just been like, yeah, we're
gonna plan.
Yeah,
especially when you have kids or you have a defined.
Oh yeah.
That's what
our kids were older, so when we were doing this stuff, they were old enough to take care of themselves. So it wasn't like, but we're doing 5 hours, so you ain't gonna just turn around and road trip 5 hours back. You're gonna have to make something happen.
If we have to sleep in the car,
that was her plan.
Do we gotta do
that too.
As long as we're together, that's what her whole thing is. If we have to sleep in the car, we sleep in the car. But but when we came to leave Vegas, we were in the hotel room. We had sold and given away a lot of stuff because things don't sell like you want them to sell, but fast enough. Mm-hmm. And we were going through stuff, what not to take, because we came out with only a suitcase each, a backpack each.
That's it.
And I had to have a computer bag to hold all of our laptops in. Yeah. And so there was a lot of stuff that we were weeding through. Plus, I was injured from work a few months before. I found myself while we were moving out of our house that we were selling. Our house sold, I think about a few days, 14 days before we moved. Mm-hmm. And our car, we sold about 2 or 3 days before we left, our van. So we were trying to, because you need a vehicle in Las Vegas. So, if you got a bunch of stuff, you got to figure out how to get that stuff around. So when we finally got to that point, we were stressed that night before the plane flight, because we had to reschedule one time before, and we were ready to quit. We didn't get any sleep. We had to be up by 3 a.m. That didn't matter because I was still trying to pack my bags. Rose is the organized one.
Because I was done. First of all, it's because I was already done like a couple of weeks before. Okay.
That's it.
I
can go through this rotation of 2 blouses and 3 blouses and 2 pair of pants. So pack it up.
Listen, for the guy,
I don't own any clothes.
But for the guy, it's not about the clothes. It's about the electronics. It's about how many power strips can I pack? What type of accessories, battery packs for the electronics. And it's about the Wi-Fi, my router repeater. It's about,
he's also an audio video technician. So just to get that out the way. That's
the mechanics of life. I'm trying to figure out how many of these skillets are going with me. And
you can't take
how many pots are going with me. I'm not rebuying my cast iron skillets. I worked hard for these cast iron skillets. You
can't. You're gonna have to re-season some skillets.
Yeah, we have a cast iron skillet that she brought to college when we started dating, and she brought to college with her. So that cast iron skillet is older than our children. And I'm just like, cast iron skillet is going some kind of way.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, we had a Nama juicer that we just had for not even a year. It was like a $500 Nama juicer that we had to let go of, and we had a bakery too. So we had a lot of stuff that we had equipment that we could have used here. Yeah. We had to
downsize a lot. But still the goal was just to take a suitcase and a travel backpack. And that was cool with me because minimalist.
That was the goal.
And I'm okay because I don't like to hold on. I think because my dad was a hoarder. So I don't like to hold on to so much because it's always obtainable. You can find it again. So you don't have to stress out about what can I take. I will say out here though, if you're a Black woman, definitely bring your products, bring your extra weave, okay, for sure. Bring your hairstylist if you can, okay, because you're not gonna find it out here, okay.
In Merida, you might find it, but in PV, it's going to be very shady.
Not so much, not so much.
Yeah, we're gonna have Aging Grateful come to our house since they, pretty strong about throwing everything away. We just had them come clean out our house too.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's a tough deal, but and then when we did our travel, because we had the other thing you'll face is family that might not like the fact that you're leaving.
Yes.
So you have a lot of that kind of friction that comes about because people are afraid for themselves, mainly because it's I don't know. We have in our culture, we have a thing that has if you go outside of the bucket, then it's like, oh no, what are you doing? What are you doing? But sometimes that exploring is something that we need to take advantage of, because guess what? The same people that are talking to you about why you should not move to Mexico, it's all dangerous and stuff, are the same people we see around in Mexico that have property, that have been traveling here since who knows how long. Some of them since they were in their youth. So the thing that it keeps you from experiencing or enjoying the lifestyle or the freedoms that they enjoy is the things that they use as scare tactics to keep you from getting into that space, because they don't want you to share that space with them.
I wanted to ask a question about community, because that was one of the intentional buckets that we have is community. And what I'm wanting to ask you all about is, family is community, neighbors, friends, colleagues are your community in the States. And what I've seen is when you are intentional about understanding, connecting with folk where you're going, you've got some connections that can help make it a softer landing. Did you want to share about, kind of how did your family take the decision? How did your adult children or your older children respond to the decision to, hey, we're leaving, and then the intentional interaction you have had with developing community with where you're landing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of our family on both sides were scared, of course, because, you hear about Mexico in the States and they make it like, cartel this and you're going to get kidnapped that. Like, no one wants to take me. Don't worry about it. I'm okay. I don't think so. So we had to just kind of ease their minds, but they were nervous until we came here and showed them the reality of it. And of course, it's going to take more time for them to get more comfortable with the situation. But it was a lot of opposition there because they're just scared, and they're going to miss us. And we understand that. But, we Zoom back and forth with them. We, FaceTime, et cetera. So they're okay. They're getting better at seeing that we're safe, and comfortable with it, As far as community out here, you have to be intentional, especially in PV, to seek out, our people. We had a place, a Reese's Cafe that we go to now.
Reese's
Brooklyn Cafe. My apologies. Yeah. yes. So a lot of us gathered there. And when we're out and about, we're always like, are you black? Oh, hey, you see somebody black, hey, be my friend. Like, what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, so
we were making friends at Walmart. I mean, like, really.
Exactly. Because when you spot them out, and it's easy to do that. You want to communicate with them, but and we found not just people of color, but we made friends with different people as well. So, and that was intentional. When we see them, we meet them at the park or on the Melicon, etc. So it's not too hard, but you just got to be intentional.
Like, it was funny you said that about meeting somebody at the Walmart. We had walked down to Costco and we were in there, and I said, well, let's look at this area here, it's in Fluvial. Fluvial is like a very upper middle influential area. It's up and coming, and so we start walking through the neighborhood across the street from La Comer and Costco, and we ran into this guy named Larry who was out here from Seattle. And he had they were moving, but he had his two little dogs that they were walking. These cute Gracie and Rosie. Yeah. So we just started this conversation with him in the park, just about the dogs. And from that time on, we've actually, through him and his wife, we've done VIP movie nights
together. Yeah, we went on our whale watching,
snorkeling.
Whale watching, because March is when the whales come.
That's when they leave.
Oh, that's when they leave.
Yeah, if you're gonna whale watch, if you come out to, like, it's the Pacific coast side we're talking about, so Mexico. So whale watching is going to be from December to March, but your prime months are going to be January and February.
Right.
March, we didn't see anything. So we went in March, we didn't see him, but we snorkeled and almost drowned.
We saw speak for yourself, brother. But
I was tired.
yeah, you'll see that in the next upcoming video.
Hey, when you're breathing through a tube about that big.
And we've never snorkeled. This is our first time snorkeling. We're like, oh yeah, let's go in the middle of the ocean and snorkel. So it's like, no.
Oh yeah, up against a rock, and then all the waves are coming, and
It was rough.
it was rough.
Yeah, it was rough. Yeah. Scary. But we made it, you know. Yeah.
I see in the chat that somebody's got, and this is literally why being in the Facebook groups is helpful, because we'll put up, does anybody do locks?
Yeah.
Does anyone, has anyone found XYZ product? When I think someone said they found grits. Y'all, I'm a Southern girl. I'm looking for the grits. I'm gonna bring my grits. But
I'd say bring your grits.
Yeah, there is a place that has grits out here. Yes.
$10 grits. So bring your grits.
That is exactly what they were saying was it's got to be worth it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to mill my own grits.
Right? Okay.
Oh yeah,
That's
good,
right.
good. That's a good point, though. You know what I'm saying? That's a good point, because honestly, there are things that you have to realize, that if certain things aren't always worth it just because you find it, you have to be. And I think that's the thing for us. We didn't come here like tourists that can set, like when my mom goes to play bingo or goes to the casino, she has a set amount of money she wants to blow. She ain't expecting it to carry her through months of life. That's just a one time. And if it increases, it increases. If it goes, it goes. Yeah. We don't live a lifestyle where we come out here to let things go. We have to be financially conscious of how we live, because we're here for the lifetime, not for a long-term visit time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to set that budget, because it's easy to go and keep going out, eating out, doing all the things, right? But you want to make sure you set a budget. I mean, it may not be for everyone, but for us, we want to maintain a lifestyle of living here and enjoying it at the same time. So there's balance in anything,
So let's ask a question in that vein. And usually I probably would have asked this at the end, but kind of segue to that. You all have landed where you are through a series of circumstances.
Yes.
But is this where you want to stay, or are you waiting for the transition? What's the transition process? Or as part of Vallarta, you've like really gotten hooked and you might stay there after the sit? Trick question.
Okay, so we do have a few sits set up and coming after this one, Ajijic and
Ajijic and Guadalajara.
Guadalajara. Our initial plan before we moved out here was to house it for a year or so, see how we like it, and just save the points, and not have to worry about that. We do love it here in PV. It's comfortable. And we're looking at rentals. We're looking at maybe purchasing a home out here. We'll see how that goes. So we're kind of exploring that ideal, but I also like the idea of saving, because I'm a saving girl. I like to, so.
And she also wants to be grounded. So
yes, and I also want my own home where I can have my own garden and do all the things. And the plan is, though, we're looking also into reopening the bakery out here, because there's not, people are asking me, because there's not a lot of people who have low carb, sugar free. That's what the bakery was about. It was a keto friendly bakery, and I'm not going to call it that anymore, but more like healthy, vegan, because I'm a plant based myself right now. So yay. All right.
And I'm on that train too.
So yeah, he's joining me too. So I have a couple of cookbooks in the works right now, building a website, etc., for the business. So yeah, so I'm just kind of exploring different areas on how to grow business out here.
I think the thing is,
go ahead.
PV finds you. So in a sense, like, and we've heard this before. I think it was Benji had said that when we talked to Benji, but it's like, it's when you get to the place that you should be, you'll be there. You know what I mean? Like, again, we didn't have any sites on Puerto Vallarta. In the research, we came across PV a few times, a lot of times maybe, but it wasn't I was more looking towards Puerto Escondido, not Puerto Vallarta. We wanted more of Oaxaca, not Jalisco, the state of Jalisco. Merida was just a drop off point to say, well, let's just see if we can get comfortable, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But, you know, with all the stuff that most people in the African American community would really focus on as far as Merida, you know, they don't really focus on, like, say, Cancun or here or most other places, or maybe San Miguel de Allende gets more some play too. We love the ocean. We love the beach. It's for us being from Vegas. The Malecon is just another strip. It's not. And when you live in Vegas, you ain't spending your life on the strip. That's just true.
Right.
So I'm moved or swayed by visitors, and oh no. It's the weather is amazing. I'm telling you, it's been snowing in Vegas when we were gone. So like no, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing tornadoes, you know, sorry about that. Where you guys are, Kansas, I think it was, or LA.
We're in Alabama. So we are, the weather. What I've done is I've put Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, Guadalajara right on my weather app. So I can take a look at what the weather looks like throughout the year. Literally, we're going to be publishing the video with us sitting poolside the day before we left. And I was like, Puerto Vallarta kind of has my heart.
It was kind of a mix because we really liked some of the accessibility in Mexico City. Where we were in Puerto Vallarta, it took more, you know, Uber driving and, you know, but I also would have taken more chances getting in a car and driving. I wasn't driving in Mexico City. It's chaos.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but
that's probably not as bad as here.
Yeah, but Puerto Vallarta, being from Miami, Puerto Vallarta felt like resorted a little bit to me too. So it was kind of that mix, you know, it was that small resort city. So it's kind of mixed about how I felt about it, but where we were staying was just was beautiful. It's just So
you mentioned so are you all working? Let's see. So I hear you, Rosemarie, talking about your business. I know that I reached out to you because I was like, my husband's wanted to open a business. Once we set a date of, you know, it's going to be less than 2 years before we leave, it didn't make sense to start something here. But the process of trying to understand what it takes to open a business in Mexico or wherever we choose to land, what was the decision process as you're looking at, could this be a place for me to start my work? Or Jimmy, are you thinking about doing more independent work, working for an employer, working for yourself, trying to kind of understand that that bucket that a lot of people are trying to navigate?
Yeah. Well, first for me, reopening the bakery, you know, communicating with people out here, seeing what they would want, seeing if it would fit out here in this community. You know, it's a lot of people are saying it's not accessible to them having low carb, you know, healthy. Because as far as my bakery, we just use almond flour, coconut flour, no real flour, none of the garbage. So they were really excited about it. So just putting some feelers out there, looking at the cost of building out here, either building from the ground up or finding a place. So we've been looking at that, exploring that option. And so currently though, I'm working on a holistic health, kind of helping people to eat better, feel better. I've been getting a lot of people asking me to help them in that vein. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then writing the cookbooks. As far as Jimmy?
For me, so I can easily just go in and take a quick flight back to Vegas. Like NAB, I think, is there this week or something. That's what I would normally be working and making a lot of money real fast. And so I could always just pop in for a week or two and make money and come back. You know, I have enough cards set up so that the money will be transferred into pesos and stuff. And, you know, you can just those things are easy to do as far as that part. The flights from here, this is another good thing about PV because we're only like maybe a 2 hour, 3 hour flight, even though Cancun was only a 3 hour flight from Phoenix. It's probably just as short, if not shorter or faster to get from here to Vegas. So I can just do those things. But when we did the bakery, that's what I did. I had to learn the shipping how to make my schematics for like the different 8 regions in the U.S. Plus, when we started to move into Canada and get our bake mixes over there, it was it was a lot of processing. So it would be the same thing here, and it always starts with trying to research and find a distributor for some of the things that you got to put together.
That's been a challenge kind of somewhat, because
Here.
being in Mexico, here in Mexico, because in the States I can just, call up all the distributors, have things shipped to the location and just produce the product. Here is trying to find, almond flour specifics,
sourcing your ingredients. That's
yes.
There's a young lady that started a soul food business in Mexico City, and she talked about the same thing. Just it's a different kind of process and being open to that. But I know that work is connected to income. Work is connected to personal fulfillment, especially when you're working in the health industry like Rosemarie, you and I do. But how you work, I wonder, has that shifted or changed? Is that a part of your win for your move abroad journey?
I think so. Yeah, because in the States it's so stressful, because they want you to just, what you do defines you. And I want to come away from that. Right now, currently, I'm not trying to rush to do these things to reopen a business. I've been taking my time, finding who I am, doing more journaling, shadow work, just trying to, decompress from everything in the States, because it's all about, who you are, or what do you do, and all that. I'm done with that. It's like the rat race to figure out, I don't know. I want to figure out who I am right now. And what I really want to do. So we decided to take, a few months off, maybe a half a year off to just see what we really want to do.
Yeah.
And not let the United States define, who we should be as a people, as a Black people, And I'm sure once you get there, once you get to that point and really start to relax, then all those things will open up to you. That's what I believe,
In the vein of that, taking a deep breath kind of thing you just presented, how is your health? How would you define in general how your health has been since you've been there in comparison to living in the United States? Because that's been a question.
For me, I've been less stressed. I've been able to breathe. Yeah. Other than like getting used to, because like sinus issues out here because of the allergies. So a little bit of that, because we're in the tropics now. So my body's kind of getting used to the different plants and stuff. Other than that, I feel great. I feel more alive. I feel that I can actually just be, just be myself. So.
I think the other thing is so even with full-time job or making money, it seems like you can't step away to get to the appointments that you need to take care of. And we've been able to do that here. Yeah. Plus, this has been the plus of everything. So things in work, especially for dental, for me right now, things that weren't done correctly, that they took all my insurance money last year, that have to be corrected now. So I've been going through that. And but you find that if you make an appointment here, at least with our dentist and stuff, or doctor, they tell you this is the price, it's done with. Right. It ain't no surprise bill that shows up in a week or something like that. No. And if there's confusion about overpayment, they quickly, our dentist, she stopped me.
She's like, no,
you already paid for this, and this.
Right.
You don't have to pay everything up front. You can just pay this part now and the other part. We've been blessed by who we found to do the dental work, and it's a beautiful facility, excellent care, excellent work.
All the work, even when I went to the quick, it's not quick care, but get blood work done, cheap, and everything is inexpensive out here. That's one thing we know. Everything's been overpriced in America, and when you come here,
it's a different story.
Completely reasonable, like a third of the cost. That's why we love it here, and it's excellent service. It's up to date, modern service. So you're not going to come out here,
And we're doing this without insurance, and we're paying less than when we had insurance, and still getting that extra surprise bill that keeps showing up.
That was going to be my question, was whether or not you were using an insurance provider or if you were paying cash for service.
We're cashing it.
Cash.
Yeah, what we have the various money buckets, and not as much because I've had some dental issues that I've had to take care of this year, some health issues, and I'm regularly having to take out of buckets that are supposed to be for us moving abroad to pay for. And I was just like, it feels like the system here is set up. Even when you have low debt, the cost of things keeps you in this cycle of owing, even around your self-care. To take a little bit of a pivot around health, I know that you all, I talk a lot with my job because I work with a manufacturer in a manufacturing kind of environment. We make airplanes, drones. I mean, we make a lot of things. So agile language is everywhere. And I've been thinking about agile just within my work, but as we are planning, like, I know that's got to be a real skill that we have down. Like, yes, we want to plan for the things, but you've got to be flexible. You've got to look for those opportunities to take advantage or to build in those stop times. You were sharing before we came on about how you had to be flexible physically as well as mentally, when you had a health issue just before coming. Like, all the plans you have were for one perspective, and you had to really accommodate something that really isn't considered an accommodation.
No. Yeah.
So did you want to share about that?
Yeah. The thing about, so I would say for anybody right now, you just have to really focus on health. Get your physical health going. I mean, really, honestly, it's if there's struggles at home in the States, when you come to Mexico, they might be amplified because you don't have necessarily the infrastructure in certain areas that are geared towards those who have infirmities, whether it be like, you're wheelchair bound like I was. So when I had injured my Achilles tendon, I was pushed through the airport to get on that plane and move to Mexico in a wheelchair. Now, it could have been a curse for most people. In my mind, it was a curse all the way, but it turned to be a blessing. And I shared this last night at the couples gathering we had. I had never in my life been the first person to enter a plane, to be the first one to board a plane. When in Phoenix, when I boarded that plane for Cancun, for some reason, God set it up because he knew I was very disappointed with the situation. Because you don't think to move to Mexico, you're going to be handicapped in some way that you didn't have experience with before you left. And you're moving to somewhere you're not familiar with, and you don't know what you're going to do. So I ended up, the guy pushed me in front of the pregnant women, the elderly, other people there's another little girl that, she wasn't little, but she had a boot on too. She had a tendon issue too. I was the very first one because I felt weird because I was, I'm feeling shame that I'm not standing up and people are thinking, oh, he's just playing.
I'm like, babe, it's getting up to the front of the line, babe. Okay. So hey.
We did that. But this is the crazy thing. We ended up in Cancun when our flight arrived. We were only 30 minutes away from getting down to to Cancun. It's from the airport to central Cancun, where our Airbnb was. But because my phone wasn't on Rome, my GPS wasn't working, and neither was hers. And so when you're in a country and you can't use your Google Maps, you're really in a disadvantage, and you can't read the signs and you don't understand what's saying. It took us 4 hours to get down to Centro. And after buying some other SIM cards to get us and follow the map to see where we were going. After screwing up on the bus, we have this issue with buses, yes.
We've seen, yes, we've seen.
That was our experience coming
forgot
into
about
this
that.
country. But when we got there and it's late at night, you're on sidewalks, and I didn't have the wheelchair now, so I'm limping with 2 suitcases and this thing. We're going up and down. Parts of the sidewalk are 4 feet off the ground. Other parts are 6 inches maybe.
Yeah.
You got a piece that's missing. It's all broken up.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the Didi. I don't know what street is what street.
No.
They keep showing up on them one side. We're on the other side of the block from where they're showing up. And it was my first time working with the Didi, which is like Uber.
Yeah.
And I spent that first week in Cancun dealing with an infirmity, trying to get around on these sidewalks that were definitely not safe and dangerous.
Yeah.
But it was humbling because I was praying the whole time, and thank God he healed me in a week, because it was really weird how supernaturally it happened.
Yeah.
But I realized that you really have to protect yourself. Not everything that you think is in the States is going to be provided for you. And pedestrians don't have the right of way. Whoever has the wheel has the right of way.
Yes. Yes. Move out the way. Because
If you want to walk away, that's right.
You got to be careful.
Yes, there's no stop signs, there's no yield signs, there's very few stoplights. Yeah.
Hey, here in PV, there are stop signs, but the stop signs doesn't
don't
mean
matter.
that they have to stop. It just
No.
means, I don't know.
Yeah.
It means I'll think about it, because they do not stop.
Some of them fly through it, and then how they collaborate in their own kind of understanding, because everybody is just Jenga inside the lanes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You can't be, if you come here with a car, you can't be a timid driver.
No. Yeah.
Herman had to ride in the front with the Uber driver, and he videoed the drive.
And I still don't understand what I was looking at.
I was like, so we're going to get our driver's license only as a backup, so that we don't have to carry our FMM card. So that was something I learned from Adelia, Picky Girl Travels. Is she did, and she was just like, to get it replaced, it's such a huge process, but I can carry around a Mexican driver's license, and that can serve as my ID, so that I don't have to take those sensitive documents. But I will not drive. I already know that there are just some places that I won't.
And it's a bit of a challenge, because I've been driving myself since before I was supposed to have a driver's license. So, when you're used to being responsible for where you're going on your own accord, I need to go. And now you got to wait for a stranger to show up to your house so you can climb in their back seat.
Yes.
The big city boy in me, it makes me nervous every time. And don't let me have my wife and the kid drive off, and I'm standing there and I'm just like, oh. We took our youngest son with us when we went to get our visas. And our last day in Mexico City, we went to this little restaurant that she and I passed when we were walking, and we were like, oh, let's come back to this restaurant. And I called the Uber to come and get us, and the guy drove past us when he came. So I walked over to where he was to make sure he was who we were expecting. And then I walked back to the table. They walked over and got in the car. I was picking up our things and paying the waiter, and he drove away with them in the car. And I was like, that man just took my wife. And it wasn't he left me. That man just took my wife and son. I mean, it was just,
Oh my gosh.
and I saw the car because I know she was like,
don't leave my husband. Look.
and then the next day when we flew into Puerto Vallarta for the end of our stay, we had to come out of the airport area, because what we found out later is Uber drivers aren't allowed to come into the airports. We had to walk all the way outside to meet the driver. Yeah. And where I was riding up front with him, and my family was in the back, and where he was driving, my wife's on the GPS, and she was like, this is not where we're supposed to go. Make him stop the car. Where are we going? and that learning that, and the reason I'm bringing that up in part is because going back to what we started at the beginning, you all are living in what appears to be, and you can clarify that for me, what appears to be a more rural, a more culturally immersed area.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you feel as, and I'm using this word intentionally, how do you feel as foreigners, as Black foreigners in the area? How do you feel language-wise? How do you feel safety-wise? How do you feel acceptance-wise? What's the adaptability?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, my neighbors Carmen and Guillermo, they're an older couple. I think they run a seniors thing in there. There's a lot of entrepreneurship out here. Like every other house out here in the jungle where we are right now.
They're selling something.
So besides him selling cactus that they cut up from there, but they must be taking care of the seniors. But they've been trying to get us to come over for he has for tequila and stuff. Yeah. And it's hard because we don't speak the language, but when you're using the Google Translator or Microsoft Translator or something like that, you try to work through those things. Being Black out here and being in this house, it is a giant house. Mm-hmm. So it's like taking a giant house that you would find in an exclusive area and dropping it in the jungle. Yeah. And there's houses that are like next door. There's one that kind of has no top half,
no roof or anything, just
open everything. And then it looks like it's abandoned, but there's somebody that lives in there. There's people that live all around us that some of the places look like they ain't there, or like it's totally gutted out and stuff. And then others that are giant like this house. Yeah. So you have a mixture. It ain't that kind of cookie cutter community. Mm-hmm. I find everybody's been friendly. Yeah. They don't look at us differently. Nobody's trying to brush us off the sidewalk. What we do, because we respect the people here, our sidewalks obviously are narrow and stuff. So if we see anybody that's coming up and down, like a senior or anybody, we just we're the ones that will get off to the street and then get back on. Yeah. We know Sandra and Tony, the owners of the Fruteria down the road now, because we go over there so often that they really take care of us when we come in there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tony used to work in Washington State doing farming for a while. Yeah. So he speaks some kind of English. His wife, Sandra, doesn't.
But we communicate.
We communicate still. Yeah. You find people, the lady that sold the few dresses that Rose bought down the road. Yeah. You just
continually communicate with people, respect them. Talk. I mean, if you don't know the language, we don't. Lo siento. Sorry. I'm sorry. Let them know I'm sorry. They'll go. No. They're very accommodating. They're not rude. Like unfortunately, like in America, if they went there, they're like, you speak the language. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm new here. Here they're just like, no problem. And they try to speak English for us. Which I'm like, no, don't worry about that. We have our little translator out.
Or they'll keep talking to you in Spanish as if you already speak Spanish and understand.
And I'm just like, I know that word. Okay, that word, yes. But we just communicate and we laugh. So they've been extremely nice.
And even though because our area would appear shady to people, it's very safe. Yeah. Like it's kind of weird. It's like it's just hard to I can't even. When we got into Cancun, because it took us 4 hours to get down, it was really late. So it turned out that there was a Walmart in that area that we walked to. And at 11:30 at night, when we left that Walmart, there was a hamburger stand thing where all these people were at. We sat there till like 1 o'clock in the morning eating and having fun because it took a while to get the food because it was so packed. Yeah. We walked in the dark through the hood at 1 a.m., not even scared. And that's in Cancun.
Yeah, I don't feel scared. I don't feel, when you first land, it's like, you feel a little bit like apprehensive because you're like, wait, this is all new. And I've never been out of the country ever. So this is my first time in moving here completely for the first time, so taking that leap of faith. But I don't find myself literally like looking behind me. In the States, I did. Like I was worried somebody walking Walmart, they have a backpack or something. Certain people who did that, I'm worried like, did they have something in that backpack? Here, I'm just like, I just don't have that nervousness. And even the police officers are here. They're here to protect us. Actually, police officers protecting us and serving.
In the National Guard, because you see all the machine guns. You'll see like we just saw 2 Hummerfuls of National Guards
with the machine guns,
which about yesterday or the day before yesterday. So it's not like oh my God,
Yeah, you don't get nervous, like, oh, there's a police officer. They're like, hey, and
They're
they
walking
actually
through.
say hi to you. They're like, oh, how you doing? Or eating a hamburger, standing out there chilling with people.
Hey,
I'm like, this is new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, not to feel that fear,
right.
that intimidation.
I think we were in Chad Raleigh when 3 of the National Guard with all their machine guns come walking through Chad Raleigh. I think it was in when we were in Merida, and they were like totally armed, strapped, the machine guns just laid out, walking through the produce with us, just chilling. And you might at first be like, oh, but then they're not kind of treating you or thinking or looking at you to see what you're doing.
They're not trying to intimidate you, basically.
Right. If anything, it might. Well, I ain't gonna say that out here.
Yeah, okay. Keep that one to yourself. It's okay.
We have not had a couple on yet who have not expressed directly their positive relationship with the law enforcement. Without fail, everybody we've had on it has said, and the law enforcement, they're here to protect us, and they don't pay us any attention, and they take care of the business, and that is we have been conditioned in the States to see areas that look a certain way, to suggest that they are unsafe, to suggest that the people there are unsavory or up to no good. We have been trained that way. And so when we go abroad and the streets don't look like we expect them to look, or there's more trash than we expect it to be, or the people are hanging out more than we want them to hang out, we translate that into unsafe.
And there's a lot of unlearning that I mean, we were only there 2 weeks, but I was just like, I'm going to need to really, you kind of begin to see, oh, that's not true. That's not even like, and so the openness to learning, I think is so important, especially when you are first coming into an environment. That you have to check yourself, check your privilege, check your assumptions, because I did not realize how much media had influenced how I viewed Mexico, who was there, what they were doing, and what I'm grateful for is channels like Why Not Now, channels like yours, Aging Grateful, that have just, Rashida, Adelia, Stephanie are saying, look, this is what life is like, and that you can be a whole person in this place. And so I'm just that peeling back of that of those assumptions was embarrassing personally to recognize that that was something that I held. And watching your journey has helped me to see that when you are open, when you can have a plan, you should have a plan, because ours is sustainability. Because when I go, if I come back, it's my choice, and not because I didn't have a plan A or a plan B, or kind of understand what the push and pulls were. Because not just house sitting, because not just trusted house sitter. There's a Mexico house sitter.
That's how we're here.
That's how we got this one. Yep.
Mexico house sitter.
Mexico house sitter.
The understanding how to a Puerto Vallarta. There's a Spanish class at Mama Chula's that meets. When if you
haven't been to Mama Chula's,
we've been there. There's a Japanese class also down the street at the British school. So I mean, there's all kinds of
right around the corner from us.
I think that people don't realize that not just so we have a lot of French Canadians here. We have Canadians, we have Americans. There's other people obviously here. There's if you go on the main drag there, the next to the Office Max is a Chinese It's like a big, what do you call it? Five Below, but it's called Orta, the Arte Hogars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Arte Hogar China. And the guy looks, well, I think he's like Asian descent, but he speaks only Spanish as far as I know, because I haven't heard him say anything else but Spanish. So you have that different things. And I kind of want to touch on how you said about environments that we're conditioned to. One thing that, because we live out here, we have to try to, I'm not the one that wants to continue to just Uber and Didi everything.
Mhm.
I said, when we were out here, I said, we got to get on a bus. As long as we have a day where we're not committed to anything, we just need to get on a bus and go where it goes.
Yeah.
So that's how we figured out some of the buses. It's taken me 3 months to figure out things. We've been kicked off 4 buses.
Yes.
We've been stranded 4 times.
Yes.
We've been assisted 2 times in those 4 times. We've successfully made it back to the house only 2
Twice.
times on the bus.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
He's determined.
when you look at how the buses, because in Vegas, I wouldn't necessarily want to ride a public bus.
Correct.
Right.
But here, as packed as it can be, our bus system here that comes by here, if we accidentally decide that we have to be somewhere and we get on the bus at the wrong time, which is like 2 p.m.,
Yes.
that bus is loaded with all the kids going to school.
They go to school here in the day, and then there's night shift for kids,
But
which
the
is
kids,
different.
right.
Yes. So just in case you guys didn't know that, kids go to school at night here and come home, what, about 8 or 9?
Oh yeah, the kids are walking, like when we've come back from the Malecon at 10 o'clock at night, we got kids walking in their uniforms up the streets,
Back home.
coming back home from school.
Yeah.
Plus, on top of the fact that they don't have, it's not a school bus, it's the public bus that the kids are riding on. And for us on our side, at least what we see here, like in the Ramblasis area, is that the kids will give up their seats. The little kids will get to sit down. The older kids will stand up because there's a lot of standing on the bus. Because let me tell you, when it's at a certain time, it's so packed, it's crazy packed. And that bus is like an African safari. It is like, it's shaking because we have cobblestone out here. So in case that's why you shouldn't bring a car to PV, is because of the cobblestones that we have in serious and speed bumps. Not to say that the cobblestones weren't enough to slow you down, but they give you speed bumps on top of that.
Yeah.
When we flew into Mexico City, we got into Mexico City that late that night, and we rode the subway, and everybody was coming home from work, and they separate the men from the women.
The front of the train is reserved for mothers with children and pregnant women. Yeah.
And I didn't know that, so we go to jump on this what looks to be less empty car, and the officer standing there says, no, you get on that, and I had to ride with the gentleman, and it's like. And it was packed, and I mean, I have family from New York, so I've been on the subway. The subway's busy. My wife spent some time in DC. It's busy. No, it was.
No, it's
sardine packed.
Yeah. Those guys are standing in on them poles, and I was just like, oh,
yeah.
And it's like it's
I got suitcases and all this stuff. So there's nothing to hold on to. Some faces in the glass. And
here on the bus, you'll have certain times they'll have all the I don't know how they do it, but maybe they'll just stack the groceries in a spot closer to the exit, so that when they're getting out finally on that stop, I was thinking certain bags belonged to somebody else, but they weren't. There was somebody that was coming from a little bit up the bus to come around to the back to get off. Because usually you want to get off on the back so the people that are coming on the bus get on the front. Packed, But then they're just handing the bags to the person that they, belong to. But again, this is our experience. So this is the PV experience. This is not the experience because
this is a local experience. It might be different for some when they come out here, but this is our local experience. So
but even for Mexico, Mexico is a giant country, and every area and every state in Mexico is not the same.
Right.
It does not operate the same. I had some shady Didi drivers in Cancun, and it might have been in Merida, which it just depends on where you're at. The people are, and actually here once, but those are just individuals. I've met some good health trainers on these Didis, and you meet some good friends on the Didis too when you're driving. Didi is an Uber driver, basically.
local.
It's a local. Usually it comes out cheaper, but you know, you gotta, again, with the thing about risking when you come out, start educating yourself on learning what resources are there. There is no real bus schedule in PV. Now, maybe another city has that, and that's great for them. That's why we get lost. We get kicked off the bus when it ends up at the end of the route, and they tell you got to get off. And then you sit like way out in the middle of nowhere, maybe, depending on where that last end of the road is. But I'll be using Google Maps open while I'm on the bus, holding onto the rail with one hand, and I use my knees to make sure when we go up and down and side to side, I don't fall. But that bus driver, the route depends on the driver.
Yeah.
A lot of times that driver goes on his own, and then he might come back to the route. And
it's
then
very different.
It's extremely different.
Yeah, it's just different. Yeah.
So you just got to be flexible.
Very flexible.
Flexible, because if you want to make your money go longer, stretch more.
Yeah.
A DD for us, where we live, costs us an average about, in American dollars, it would be about $3 to $7 each ride.
Yeah.
But
that could be a 30-minute ride.
The bus is 50 cents.
That's why he's determined. He's determined about that bus.
This one here, she's quiet over here, but this one here.
I don't think that I can get a sense of the city without doing certain things.
Right.
I want to ride the subway or whatever the public transportation is. I want to walk to the grocery store. Because walking gives you so much of a perspective. I've shared it before, how I found my yarn shop and my yarn group in Mexico City because we walked. So you can do things like stay in a hotel, but that's not a scouting trip. Dr. Linda, she did a great scouting trip video, and she was so right. You've got to live like a local.
Yes.
To get a real sense of, could I live in a place? And that includes being able to see what my budget could look like, a real budget. So it's why we are intentional about whether it's an Airbnb or a house sit, because we're going to cook some of those days. What is it going to cost us? And just those try on experiences, I think I couldn't do this sight unseen. We just, I've seen people spin the globe and put their finger down and say, I'm moving here. That's not this girl.
No.
Okay. We kind of do that, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I guess I kind of did that.
But
we did a lot of research and and everything too. And plus, I just wanted to. He's been to Mexico, several different areas in Mexico, but I have not at all.
I think what helps with the house sitting, and I think this is something that I would stress to your audience is, if you want to really kind of get an opportunity to make your trip less expensive, if you're doing an exploratory trip or traveling, where you are not afraid to, if you're going to Airbnb, why not house sit? Because you're basically almost doing the same thing, but you might have a responsibility to clean up after yourself, which you should be doing anyways in an Airbnb. But you might have some dogs that, if you love animals, cats or dogs or fish to feed, if you like enjoying doing that anyway, then it's like a win-win for everybody. To me, it gives you the opportunity to slow travel, because then you could spend more time. If your Airbnb is running like a taxi meter, there's only so many days that you can, 5 months for us to stay in this place particular. No, it would be the reason why we jumped on this, and we bought our plane tickets from Merida to jump on over here at the time of New Year's, right after New Year's, within like 3 or 4 days. So our plane tickets were obviously not at a cheap spot. Plus, we picked the VIP lounge to stay in Mexico City because we had a layover in Mexico City, which I didn't want, but we were going to VIP lounge it there. And before we got here, that cost for the plane tickets, the lounge, and we lost. We gave up our money on the Airbnb for the rest of the stay in the Airbnb. Lost a week's worth.
But mind you, my Airbnb was $19 a day. Just want to clarify.
So it's like $100.
I pick inexpensive Airbnbs. in the local area.
And remember,
So,
Airbnb's going to throw their fee
Yeah.
on, so you're
Yeah,
looking
but
about
still.
$100 there too. It didn't matter because with 5 months of no paying for any of that stuff and a better, obviously, have we had any issues with the internet here? Not so far, I don't think, right? On doing this live stream.
Mhm.
So we got all of that.
That's true.
So all of that cost for just to get here, we said, okay, well, that just will be in the 1 month, the first month. So that still gives us 4 months free
Yeah, that's true.
of how living expenses as far as, plus when we got here, they were taking us to eat at the food park dinner. We ate at restaurants. We went to the Planeta Vegetarian.
Yeah.
I forgot how you say it. The Vegetarian Planet.
Because most houses would like for you to come in maybe a day or two early so they can show you around the place. They're kind enough to take you out and show you the local area, to shop and everything. So most of them are
We
like
did
that.
all kinds of stuff.
So there is really a good way to explore any country, not just Mexico.
Yeah.
It's for anywhere. So,
And there was food and stuff in the fridge and the freezers
they
and
generally do
coffee,
that
everything.
too. Yeah, they'll leave all that for you. Yeah.
So again, because a lot of people, I don't think understood what house sitting really is, because it's not a thing for the US as much as like up and coming. It's kind of like pickleball. It's just something that hit the US now. Now we're getting into it, catching up to the Canadians.
Yeah.
House sitting is going to be that thing. And I'm telling people out there, don't miss out on it, because you're missing out on opportunities to maybe go stay in Japan, go stay in England, go stay in Australia. There are house sits all over the world that are waiting for people to sit in these giant homes, and or some that are not so giant, or if you wanted to live out in the jungle or live out on the beach, or just in Mexico City. There are tons in Mexico City all the time.
All the time, yeah. It's a good way to get out and explore.
Save your money, but be able to kind of fit in where you're from a hotel room. I don't see that you can get the experience of what it really is like to live in that place.
Right.
And you're going to get the hotel sticker shock, because they know that tourists are going to be in that area. So the prices we paid for the Indian food that was near our Airbnb, but it was, we stayed in Polanco, so we knew we were going to get hit with with the but it was really nice to be able to leave Mexico City, come to Puerto Vallarta, and frequent a lot of the local restaurants that could feed a teenager hors d'oeuvres, appetizers, entree, dessert, drink. I mean, and we not go broke.
Right.
Yeah.
Between the three of us, I tell this all the time. When we go to eat here, we get the meal. Drink is water. We don't do appetizers. We don't do appetizers. We don't do dessert. We came for the meal. We were over there. We were wilding out, and we weren't spending $50 a meal for the three of us.
See? Yeah.
And I mean, we were walking away like we tried everything. We were splitting 3-4 dishes, and coming back tomorrow, and the green place. I don't know if you had.
That's right. That's her favorite place.
Oh man, we worked the green place over, man.
Oh man, yes.
Love them. And
you go to a movie theater out here even because I don't know how much you guys are paying for the theater because we stopped doing that in the States because it was just ridiculous.
Right. We rarely ever go, but we were there during
Wakanda Forever.
Oh,
and so we got the really nice seats, and we paid for like the VIP.
And I don't think we paid $15.
What we would spend for one person here.
Oh yeah,
right.
I did that for less with the sushi and her rice bowl and our drinks.
Yeah, everything.
All of that with the tickets cost less than like if we would have been in the States paying for tickets and popcorn. And we had popcorn on top of the food too. Now I ain't talking about no little cup where I said, wait a minute.
Like big bucket.
$9 for a 12-ounce or $30 for
Yeah,
we had the big one.
I don't like popcorn that much. We're not paying $9 for a drink.
Right.
But
drink a popcorn. Yeah.
Okay.
With the Doritos in the popcorn on top of that.
Yeah.
So the Aging Grateful asked kind of one of those logistic questions. you know, when you go through the INM process and you get that residency card, they are asking, I won't say he, they are asking, can your residency card serve as your ID? How are you all are you using your residency card as ID? Because I know when we were initially, what we shared earlier was that was why we were getting a
international.
The driver's license was going to be able to serve as our ID. Are you all using? Do you know if you can use your residency card?
I don't know.
We're currently in the process.
Your residency card as ID.
We're in the process of getting the residency, so we're not even there yet.
So we're here on a visitor's.
Yeah.
Now this is the other thing. Again, I'm stressing house sitting right now because even on a visitor's 180 days, we've been able to fit in the house sitting. It fits in our visitor's visa.
Yeah.
Now, our IDs, which we really haven't used since we've been in the country, we have driver's license, we have passport, the card, and passport, the book. And I don't, you know, bank-wise, you're going to have residency card or something like that in order to do any type of, get a Mexican bank account. But the way that you deal with that is, you really, if you're dealing with, like, say, a home, a landlord situation or something like that, you would just basically set up with, like, say, TransferWise and just use that, because even the attorney that we're working with is on TransferWise. So we have a TransferWise with that way. When it comes to the medical, I use my Revolut or TransferWise cards. So, you know, you just, and then I convert, those things are converted into pesos in my accounts. I have a USD account, I have a peso account that I keep on both cards. So I watch, you know, you got to watch the currency rates. Now the currency is down again. We're at 18.0 something. Last night it was at 18.2. When we came into Cancun, we were at 19.8 pesos to the dollar. So American dollar is really losing value right now. But you time your conversions when you have your cash. You time it so that you know, like the stocks, you want to get it at the right time. Transfer your money over to pesos at the right time. We haven't operated in cash since we left Vegas. Well, one time we bought somebody, because I didn't have pesos at the time. They took, no, we didn't even do it then. No. So we have not, I have cash dollars, USD sitting somewhere around here, but I haven't picked that up. And I won't, there's no need to carry it with me anywhere.
Not necessary.
Okay.
So you got to do pesos most of the time. Big tip is, depending on where you're coming from, we'll just always have a good stash of cash pesos on hand.
Right, before you come.
Yeah,
bring that with you. Yeah.
Any cards that you try to set up, if you're going to get a Revolut or a TransferWise card, which are these bank cards that basically you can tie in your money to convert money yourself. Because I've been stung at one of the ATMs here in the first time around. It only takes one lesson, but I'll never do that again.
Absolutely.
Get those cards before you come. Because I had 2 cards that got stuck in the mail before we got here.
Yes.
And getting mail to Mexico is a nightmare.
No, there's no system now.
It's horrible. You cannot get stuff here. So get your stuff ahead of time. Have everything way in advance before you get here.
Yes.
It's important.
Okay.
It looks like Why Not Now answered Aging Grateful that they think that you can use your residency card as ID. So I just wanted to make sure that we saw that, because I know that they've been in Mexico a while, and definitely are a good source of information as well. You know, you bring up things that you should do before leaving the U.S. That are helping you win. I know Adelia Aborashade with Picky Girl Travels talked about keeping a U.S. Mailing location somewhere where you're receiving your mail is one. Getting a card that does not charge you for using an international, well, I won't say it doesn't charge you. will refund you the international ATM card is another win. Because if you're going to the ATM and getting money often, that can even if you're not doing it often, I'm trying to save every dime.
Yes, I agree.
So if I can do that, and so Fidelity and some of the other Schwab have ways for you to be able to get those refunded. So and not having a U.S. address can really mess you up with a lot of different things. So it sounds like you guys put in place things that are going to be able to help you do your business, the business that you need to do in the U.S., as well as have a positive, straightforward, winning experience in Mexico. Being in these groups before you leave, people are sharing those. The Facebook groups, they are sharing those. There's the Mexican residency groups. Helped us so much because so much was changing last year so fast, where some places it was, it could be a week, and then some places you could get your appointment and get your card the same day. So being in those groups, in addition to having an attorney or a facilitator, you got to know your stuff. You have to know. We shared that in a previous video where we were talking about the Conhay process. If you don't know what to expect, you can't just say, I'm going to hire an attorney and they're going to take care of it.
No,
you have to have a legit attorney too.
Yeah, you also, kind of have to have the person check the other person in a way. It's kind of weird because, again, when you're dealing with documentation that's going to be in a different language, you're going to need to be able to have resources to make sure you get interpretations that make sense so that you know what you're going into per se. So I think we've been fortunate to find a few good contacts, especially out here, because finding somebody out here helps. Like, and I mean local people. You can have expats too, because there's tons of expats that are running around as real estate agents. But we have people that friends that are locals. Well, she's from Mexico City, but again, knowing the culture and understanding how things work is a big deal. Or finding somebody that's been here for like 20 plus years, because we know a few people that have been here like that long, and they've seen the growth of this area and understand these things that are in place. Just don't be fooled to think that because there's this misconception. Just because when you're planning, you think, oh, well, I can just wait. When I get there, I can go there because they have this there and that there. That's a misnomer. Whatever, you cannot. It does not work that way. Exactly. It does not work that way. Exactly. We were just talking about last night about the P-traps for plumbing here. They don't exist in Mexico. So guess what? You might be in a place where it's going to smell from the sewage coming in. Water pressure is going to be different. So one place we were looking at, they were talking about in Merida, I think it was, we didn't have, was it hot water that was kind of not there? I forgot. One of those places, it wasn't so much hot water.
Yes, like
when you live in the jungle, you have different bugs that you didn't deal with before. We have flying eagles that are close to us, like a lot, very close.
Oh,
So you have maybe allergies that you didn't experience before, like food allergies, because the food is not different. It's different in the sense that it might be more natural. So you've been dealing with a certain pesticide or something that have altered your fruits and vegetables. When you come here, it's going to be different. Avocados in Merida are very different than the avocados here in PV. The avocados in Merida are, to me, amazing, smooth butter. I say that for sure.
Cafe con leche. The channel we talked about that, and I was like,
yes.
I didn't realize that there was a variation, but because they're from California.
So, we know.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It is there's certain things that are just totally different.
And animals, because we're in the we're in the tropics. So like yesterday or day before yesterday, there was iguana. Just we go out and just sitting there on the patio because we had the ladder up there because Jimmy was doing some work and just chilling. Big old iguana like that, and I'm like, okay. And we had to go down the stairs to go out the door, and we're like, you can stay here until we get back.
But we had to deal with him when we got back because he was still sitting on that.
Yeah, he had to deal with it. I went in the house.
So it took 2 hours to get him out. But hey, and for him to get up here, it's like he climbed about 20 feet or so to get up to this deck to get on to the level.
But you'll experience things like that. So, but you just have to be able to roll with it, and don't go, oh no, I'm out of here. I'm back to the States because this happened. It's like, no, I'm here and I'm not moving.
We keep a pet. Well, he's not a pet, but he lives with us now. But
the gecko,
Gary the gecko, gets to stay in the walk-in closet
bathroom,
because I can't get him out and he gets back in. So he goes in and goes out when he wants. So he stays over there.
Hey, he's not bothering me. I'm good. So
exactly.
And
exactly.
A part of the biggest resource is this community of what has now been YouTube pages. If you're watching, and I see a lot of our friends in the chat today, why not now? Watch their page, subscribe to their page.
Savvy Soldier is in the chat.
Aging Grateful is in the chat. Aging Grateful, we're in your DMs trying to reach you. Check your DM. We're trying to reach you. But Living, Loving Abroad, they're in the chat today. These are pages just like Food, Fun, and Faith. Please subscribe to their page because these experiences that each of these pages share, as well as people in our chat today, Donna, A Good Thing Jones, and these conversations, these community help expand the expat in exploration to find and make some choices. So that you have an idea of what to look for when you're going abroad.
And the reality of it all. I mean, you all were walking up the hill because you said that you got put off the bus. And the reality that you're going to need to be able to navigate spaces in different ways. It's going to look different. It's going to smell different. It's going to, but the difference isn't a barrier.
No,
it is a part of the adventure that helps us to see. I want to be able to see myself in a place, and you're able to show that. Whether Mind and Manna was at last Friday night. She was at at an eatery, and so we were dancing in our living room here in the States because it reminded us of the music that we heard when we were there. That's the kind of viewing. People are sharing their real life, not the cute, all studio quality experience. We are real people living, planning to live in a place, sharing the ups and the downs of the journey, and the 360 view. That is how we're growing together as a couple, how we are learning about our individual selves and ministering to our individual needs. This is a space that as Stephanie Perry says it best, she said, this is the best time to be alive. That we can see a path to a thing and be able to chart our own path there, because so many people have left or shared their breadcrumbs that help us to align our process to finding joy. I am so thankful, Jimmy and Rosemarie, for you all coming on today, for you all sharing your journey and partnering with us to make visible that this is a space for couples. This is a space for Black couples. You don't have to just be retired or with young children, that this journey can be accessible to all.
Yeah.
It is an honor to have you. It is an honor to have everyone who put eyes on us today, to everyone who added their thoughts and comments and shares in the comment section. And we are H&D Abroad. I'm Herman.
I'm Dee.
It's always great to spend time with you. We look forward to seeing you next week. Blessings on you all. Have a great day. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we will be back. See you soon.
Bye for now.
Thanks.